In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the thermostat housing on your Hyundai Sonata. Let's get started. To drain the coolant faster, remove the top cap. We're going to loosen the drain plug on the bottom of the radiator. Make sure you have a drain bucket under the spout. Using a 10mm socket, loosen the negative and positive battery terminals. Remove the negative, then the positive. There should be a 10 or 12mm bolt on the front side of the battery. This should clamp the battery down and hold it in place. Ours is missing, so we're just going to remove the battery. Using a 10mm socket, remove the bolts for the air cowl. Lift straight up and remove it from the car. Pinch the clamp on the hose, pull it back. Remove the hose off of the valve cover. One more in the back, pinch the clamp, pull it back, pull it off of the air box. Using a 10mm socket, loosen the clamp around the throttle body. Be sure that it wiggles free. Using a 10mm socket, remove the two bolts holding in the air box. Pull the air box off of the throttle body. Lift it straight up and out of the vehicle. There's one grommet on the bottom that it hooks into with this one tab. Pull the plastic harness stay off of the brackets. There's one clip on the bottom and one clip on the top. On each of these, they're going to have these tabs. We're going to pull up on these tabs to release them. And we're going to pull straight out and pop the plastic stay off of the bracket. Just like that. Remove the connector for the coolant temp sensor. Push on the push tab. And I'm gently using a flat blade screwdriver to help me pop it up. Remove the connector. Remove the two 10mm bolts for the connector bracket. Pinch the clamp and pull it back. I'm going to put a piece of towel down under all of our coolant hoses. So when we take them off the thermostat housing, it doesn't leak all over the top of the transmission. I'm going to use a right angle pick to get under the hose and just break the tension free. Remove the hose, pull it out of the way. Do the same thing for the upper radiator hose. Pinch the clamp, pull it back. Pull it off. Using a pair of pliers, pinch the clamp, pull it back. Remove the hose. I'm going to twist it up out of the way. Keep repeating this process for all of the hoses on the thermostat housing. There's one more hose for the front. Remove the hose. I'm going to go after the two hoses on the back of the thermostat housing. Continue doing the same thing, pinching the clamp, pulling it back. Pull the hose off. Do the same thing on this back one. Using a 12mm socket, remove the 1 nut and 2 bolts for the thermostat housing. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to get the last bolt on the back bottom of our thermostat housing. Remove the bolt. Start to work the thermostat housing out. Push that back hose off and remove the thermostat housing. Using a razor blade, light abrasive, or a carbide scraper, we're going to clean the mating surface for our water pump housing. You can plug the holes with a towel or rag if you'd like to. It can help avoid getting any dust or anything inside of them. Using some brake parts cleaner and a clean rag, we'll spray down our rag. Give the surface a wipe, get away any dust, oil, or anything else that might be sitting on the surface. Install the new thermostat housing. Make sure the pipe is fully installed. Get the front nut started and get the bolt started. We'll have one more in the front. Using a 12mm socket, we're going to snug down the thermostat housing. Torque the bolts to 13 foot-pounds. Torque the nut to 15 foot-pounds. Snug down the bolt for the pipe. Torque the pipe bolt to 8 foot-pounds. If you can't get a torque wrench in there, do the best you can. Install the coolant hose onto the thermostat housing. Pinch the clamp, pull it into position. Try to return these clamps exactly where they were. Get the hose installed on the thermostat housing. Pinch the clamp, pull it back into position. Continue this process for all of the hoses on the front. Get the connector bracket lined up and install the bolts. Snug the bolts down. Install these clips onto the metal brackets. There's one right here, one right here. Get them lined up and push it straight onto the bracket. Pull back on it, make sure it's locked in. Install the connector for the coolant temp sensor. Push until you hear a click. If you don't hear a click, pull up on it, make sure it's locked on. Install the pole for the air box into the grommet. Push straight down and you'll feel it click in. Get it installed onto the throttle body. Install the hose onto the valve cover. Install this back hose onto the air box. Snug down the clamp around the throttle body. Give it a little wiggle, make sure the rubber does not move around. Pinch the clamp, pull it back into position. Do the same on the back. Install the bolts for the air box, get them started. Snug the bolts down. Install the air cowl. Get the bolts started. Snug them down. Close the petcock for the radiator. Install the battery. You should have a bracket in the front that you'll need to tighten down. Ours is missing. We'll install the positive first. Snug the bolt down. Install the negative terminal. And snug it down. Install the coolant funnel. Fill the radiator with fluid. Once the radiator's full, go ahead and start the car. Wait for bubbles to stop coming out of this. Run the car for about 5 to 15 minutes. Keep looking at the temperature gauge, make sure it doesn't overheat. Once the bubbles stop coming out, the car stops drinking coolant. Go ahead and remove your coolant funnel. Install the radiator cap, and then double check that your reservoir is full.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.